Here we are once again.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the BiG Scuba Podcast. This is episode 89, the bonus edition.
Yeah, this is not even a Monday, it's not midweek.
We come back really quick here. So this is a little bit short and sweet. It's not quite the usual podcast that you might be expecting. And we have got Mark Evans on from the Scuba Diver magazine and the Go Diving show. Jem?
Yep, so yeah, Mark is the chief editor of the Go Diving magazine. So that's something that anybody in a dive centre probably would have picked up the publication. And he's one of the founders of the Go Diving show that's happened, for years past, but last time it happened was 2020.
Yeah, it's last February, wasn't it? Just before the old COVID hit. If you listen to us for the first time, we talk about scuba diving, free diving, having fun on the water, whether you're new to diving, whether you're a non-diver, whether you've been diving for years, this podcast will appeal to you. And this is the reason why we thought, hey, the Go Diving are having a road show next week, starting on Friday the 17th of September. We need to get Mark on to find out all about it so we can share it with you.
Yeah, tell us about it. It's something. It's never really happened before in the sense it's happening next week. So it's an outdoor event, so to speak, and real diving can take place on the location, and it's located at NDAC out in Chepstow in the UK.
Yeah. So after the show, all the links that you need will be all on the show notes and for where you can go and buy your tickets.
And then obviously Mark will tell us all about the Go Diving Roadshow and what's happening.
The headlines are, the good news is this show is not just like the show that you'd normally expect to go to, where a lot of divers all get together and we all like to chat and gossip and share gossip and news and things like that. Well, divers, like everyone, aren't they? All get together and have a good old natter. But the good news is this roadshow's unlike that. It's open for non-divers, so for families, you can all go. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's really special because you can take your partners, your husbands, your wives along if they're not diving, but they can have a lot of fun. They can kayak, they can paddleboard, they can take part, they can even go on a zip wire. So there's loads for them to do. They're not going to be bored, and it's not like trundling around a warehouse full of exhibitors. So lots of fun.
Anyway, let's don't take our word for it. Let's get the man on who knows all about it, and let's hear all about it. So, Mark, here we go.
Yep, episode 89, Mark Evans.
Thank you very much for joining us on the BiG Scuba Podcast. And we want to get you on to talk to you about the Go Diving Roadshow. We've known you a while now. You've been previously on the BiG Scuba Podcast. I forget what episode it was. You was on literally a year ago, which is really great timing. And now is a good time to talk to you about the Go Diving Roadshow that you've got planned literally next week. So, Mark, take it away and tell us a little bit about you. How do people know you? Because you are the editor-in-chief of Scuba Diving magazine. So people will know you from that, and they'll know you from the Go Diving show as well. But the roadshow, is this a new thing?
Yeah, it's a little bit new. First of all, thanks very much for having me back on. Like you say, I saw it pop up on the memory that it was a year ago since I was on. That seems to have flown by, but I think everyone will agree this last 16, 18 months has all been a little bit surreal anyway, and nobody seems to know where time's gone, because some things seem to have dragged on, like COVID, and other things seem to have gone like that. So no rhyme or reason to it. As you said, just for a quick roundup of what I am, editor-in-chief of Scuba Diving magazine, and co-founder of the Go Diving show. So that's where people will know me from. And the Go Diving Roadshow is really a kind of a truncated version of the main Go Diving show. Obviously, because of aforementioned COVID, that kind of threw everything out for this year. We were very lucky last year that the Go Diving show was right at the end of February, and we literally scraped in just before COVID threw everyone's lives through a whirlwind. There was a couple of people from the Far East that didn't exhibit, and that was because of COVID. But at that time, everybody thought it was going to be another SARS.
COVID.
Do you know what I mean? We just thought it was going to be something that was affecting a few areas out in the Far East. That was it. Who knew 4 or 5 weeks later, everything was gone, you know. So we managed to get the show out last year. The plan was obviously to have another Go Diving show this year. So it became apparent very quickly that February wasn't going to happen. So we postponed it till September. And obviously things dragged on even more. So it became obvious September wasn't going to happen. So we made the decision a few months back to cancel the main show and just move it to March 2022. So that's all going ahead then, which is great. But then we kind of got talking to people, and while obviously a big main show wasn't going to work, you know, you didn't want that many, you didn't want 6,000 people indoors somewhere. And, you know, at the moment people are struggling with budgets and this, that and the other because they've had a bad year. We thought, could we do something smaller to try and get that camaraderie and the whole social side of diving just as a bit of a showcase? So that's where we came up with the idea of the Go Diving Roadshow. So we thought, where could we go? NDAC seemed a prime destination because it's fairly central. So wherever you're coming from, it's not a million miles away. But they've also got lots of facilities because we wanted this to be something that families could come to, and potentially you could bring non-divers. So you've got the core essentials that your divers are going to like. So you've got exhibitors, which we'll go into more later on, but you've got a little core of exhibitors, like a mini version of the main show. We've got talks, again, kind of a mini version of that. So we've got a few speakers during the day and on the evenings. We've got workshops going on, photography workshops. So again, very much like at the main show. And we've actually got something different where we've got some in-water workshops going on. Now, obviously, when we were doing it at a landlocked exhibition hall, we only had our big pools. Now, doing a try dive on side mount in 1.5 meters of water is all right. But here, the great thing is people can do try dives on side mount or on a rebreather in NDAC. You know, we've got the water right there on the doorstep, so it makes sense to actually use it. So people will do try dives in there.
Wow.
And obviously, anyone who's coming to walk around, they can go diving too. So our thinking was the divers could rock up, they could go for a dive, then they could spend a surface interval wandering around the exhibition hall. They could, you know, watch one of the photo workshops, catch one of the other daytime speakers, then they could maybe go for another dive, and then, you know, they're there for the social evening. So it was lots going on for the divers. But then, like I said, for the non-divers, NDAC's got the big inflatable aqua park. They've got the zip lines. They've got the big giant swing. They've got the kayaking and the stand-up paddleboarding. So there's lots of things that non-divers could do while the divers are busy. So it was, you know, had that whole thing to it, as opposed to it just being a really core diving event. So that's basically what's going on the Friday and the Saturday. But then on the evening, to try and get the whole social side of things going, we've got some of the bigger name speakers like Miranda Krestofnikov and Phil Short. But we've also got our little barbecue on the Friday night, and there are vegetarian options before anyone asks. I've been asked that already, but there are vegetarian and vegan options. We've got that, and then it's just for everyone to kind of hang out and just, you know, have a beer and a chat on that evening, enjoy the beautiful views across the quarry, because that's the great thing about NDAC, where the bar area is, and you're on the terrace, you're looking straight down into the quarry, and it's just a beautiful area to kind of chill outside and sit, and especially if the weather looks like it is going to be, then, you know, it'd be just it's just like I said, the whole idea people can go diving, actually diving, they can chat with like-minded divers, watch some speakers, go to some workshops, you know, have that social crack on an evening, and just try to really kind of round out, you know, the latter end of the diving season for this year with a bit of a bang. You know, kind of say, yeah, we're coming out of this, guys, you know, and then kind of look into next year for it can only get better.
It's so nice because there hasn't been anything, you know, we missed your show in, you know, this year. You know, we were, you know, fortunate to go to it last year, not knowing that was going to be the last one for some time. So it's been you miss the shows, don't you? Because there's a good place where you can get together and have a natter and of people who you don't see very often. And it's good that you're putting a social side on for that as well. And so that's, it's great that we've got that. We've got this coming this year. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it was just, we all have been a bit down with this. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like the first lockdown, I think we kind of, a lot of people roll through it. We knew it had to happen.
Yeah.
I think the second one, yeah, everyone dealt with it. But that third one, most people, that one at the beginning of the year, January, February, March, I think it was partly due to the weather. The first one, the weather was fantastic, which makes it a lot easier to deal with. We could be outside going for walks and stuff. And like I said, the second one, the weather was still pretty good, but it was just winter time. Everyone gets down in winter. And then the added thing of the lockdown just was a little bit soul destroying. And like I said, it's been great to see the divers back. When Cape and Ray opened up after that third lockdown, I was up there for the first day when it opened. It was fantastic. It was like 400 divers up there on that first day. And the buzz in the car park was fantastic. Everyone was just so pleased to be out there. And I saw photographs from Vobster and from NDAC and from Stoney, from all the other sites and coastal sites. It was the same thing. People just couldn't wait to get out there again.
Yeah.
And that seems to have continued through the year. I mean, I've never seen photographs of so many people off Chesil Beach. It's like, that's one thing. It's just like divers seem to have come out of the woodwork and have gone for coastal dives, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to keep that going and just try and, really show that whole camaraderie of diving, get us all together. Like you said, we've been starved of that since the beginning of last year. So, just being able to see people and even the industry people are looking forward to it. They haven't seen one another. They've just been doing Zoom calls like this. So actually seeing one another at the conventions is when we all hang out with our mates. So they're looking forward to that as well as seeing the customers. So
yeah, and it's good that you're involving non-divers as well, because that is, what we're all about as well. But if you've got non-divers at a show, then you've got that temptation that you might.
It's easy for families to go, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. So that was why, like, the ticket price, when they book the weekend ticket or just the Friday only ticket, it includes the paddleboarding and the kayaking. So that's all in with the price. And then if people want to go on the aqua park or they want to do the zip lines and everything, then that can just be, organised with NDAC direct while they're there. But it's just having those facilities. It was just on hand. At least there is something for non-divers as opposed to kind of sitting on the side waiting for someone to, surface after they dive.
Yeah.
For people who haven't been there before, I went there a couple of years ago, and from an independent view, it's a beautiful place. It's their facilities are great, the staff are great. Their dive centre really helpful. The diving is brilliant. For an open water diver like Gemma, you don't feel out your depth because there's things to see. Shut in the shallows. Yes, that site is well known for its deep side of things, but there's actually lots of stuff open for every diver of all skills, to go and make the most of that water, and lots of iron boards as well for some reason. I was going to say,
you still find the odd iron and stuff on the bottom from when they had that world record. But you're right, though. That's part of the reason. Another reason for NDAC, it's not just the location. Like we said, location is key, and it's not that far away from the major centres and stuff. Yeah. But you've got diving for all levels. So if you've got somebody, like you said, who's a newly qualified open water diver, you can quite happily boot around in 10, 15 metres, and there's plenty of stuff to see. Armoured cars, Land Rovers, etc., as an aeroplane cockpit and stuff. And then as your skill levels rise and you've got your advanced divers, you've got the big fishing boat they've got there, there's a coach, there's some more armoured stuff, there's the helicopter and this, that, and the other. And then as you go a bit deeper and you've got people who are now in the sort of like entry-level tech zone, like 40 to 50 metre range, you've got some more stuff sunk there, but then it's also got the proper deep bit. So if you've got your real hardcore techies, they can come and do a proper tech dive as well as enjoy the exhibition. Whereas if we were at somewhere that maybe the max depth was 20 metres or even 30 metres, those people might still come and enjoy themselves, but it's not it's not maybe got the draw. Whereas here, it doesn't matter what level of dive you are, you know, we've got you covered kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a whole different type of show, isn't it? Where you can actually get people in the water as well at depth.
Yeah, and this is the thing is, you know, some of the exhibitors have already said that they're going to have some of their equipment that people can go and try dive, which again, you can't do at the normal show because where are you going to go with it? Unless you like were borrowing a mask and you went over to one of our pools and stuck your head over the side, you know, you're not going to be able to try it. Whereas this is the element that we used to have with the Scuba Fest, which I don't know if you ever actually got to any of the Scuba Fest because those were before your time when you started the podcast. But they were great. So there was one in Anglesey and there was one in Cornwall. And again, the exhibitors who were there tended to have stuff that people could try dive, whether it was a reg, a BCD, fins, a mask, a dive computer or whatever. So people could actually take it for a proper dive. Yeah. Which is the best way of trying something out, actually going for a dive with it. And it just adds another element to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And, you know, even if you can get people doing it, will there be the chance for people to do a try dive who've never dived before?
We haven't got actual just basic try dives for completely non-divers here because you can't take them into NDAC waters, unfortunately. It's just the health and safety, as you can imagine with that. So the only way we could really get around that is if we had a pool on site. Now, depending on how this one goes, it might potentially be something that we do every year. So we might look at doing the main go diving show in March and then do the road show in September. So that you've got the two flavors. You've got the big full-on exhibition hall show, and then you've also got this road show element. Potentially, depending on we see how many non-divers we get, you know, and how much demand there is for that, that might be something we bring in at a future one. But obviously, for the people that are doing the Rebreather tri dives or the side mount tri dives, they're already qualified divers, so they can quite happily go into NDAC waters and enjoy themselves in there.
Yeah. No, it's great.
It is. I want to say actually about the wigwams for anyone who's staying in the wigwams on site. You know, they are lovely. They are great. So, you know, for staying on site, you know, they are well catered for. So,
well, that's the great thing as well. Like I said, there's the wigwams on site, and then they've also, you know, surrounding area. There are a massive amount of guest houses, Airbnbs, bed and breakfast, cheap hotels, expensive hotels. You know, all within 5 to 10 minute drive. So, you know, you've kind of spoiled for choice, really.
Yeah. So tell us about the people, the speakers you've got attending.
Yeah, so we've managed to bring some of the names that we had at the main Go Diving show. So we've been able to bring them along to this one. So we've got cave diver, explorer, and general underground dweller Phil Short. But he's actually not talking about cave diving this time. He's talking about his Tulsa American ongoing project where they were recovering the remains of some American servicemen from a downed bomber. And there's been some like big developments from that with some identifications and stuff, but I won't say too much because that's what his talk's all about, so he can go into that. But that's sure to be intriguing. I mean, his talks at the main Go Diving show were fantastic. So Phil's talk is sure to, you know, pack him in for that one. So he's talking on the Friday. We've got Miranda Krestovnikov is coming back again. Obviously, she's known from BBC's The Coast and The One Show. So she's coming and doing a talk for us. Various different things. She went up and did the scuba escape up in North Wales. So she was going to be talking about that because that was a nice, fun way of going diving, but not normal diving. But again, I'll let her explain that one. And then she's also just had the fun factor of getting her son qualified. So Oliver finally got qualified as a junior open water diver. So she's slowly but surely dragging the entire family into diving along with her.
She's
so that's great.
She's also a very big advocate for UK diving as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. And Oliver actually did his course here. So he didn't get to swan off to some foreign destination to do it. He actually did do his junior open water course here. Which is fantastic. And we're all due to go diving with seals at the beginning of October at Lundy. So his first sea dive is going to be with seals off Lundy, fingers crossed for the weather, because we did have it canned once already. But it actually worked in its favour because when it got canned before, he hadn't qualified. So it might be that it was divine intervention to delay it so that he was qualified, so that we've got him to chuck in with the seals.
Well, he's going to love it. And, you know, Jem, you did your first dive.
Yeah, in the Farne
seals
Islands.
this year, didn't you?
Yeah, and that was just amazing.
Yeah, the seal dives, they'll match any wildlife encounter that you'll have in the world. And we're just lucky that we've got a few places around the UK where we've got it in shallow water right there in front of you. And like you said, anyone can experience it.
Yeah, you don't, it's open water divers, newly qualified. It's certainly within the realms of, possibilities, isn't it? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so that's good. And then other speakers, we've got Ellen Coyle, who's doing a talk on the Saturday evening about, she's obviously a big advocate for marine conservation and, plastic pollution and what we can do to limit that, etc. And obviously she's an award-winning underwater photographer as well. And she combines the two by using her imagery to get the message across. So she's going to be doing an interesting talk about her latest projects and everything on the Saturday evening too.
Cool.
And then we've also got Andy Talbot. Now, Andy, unfortunately, just dropped a bit of a bombshell on us that he's been double booked for that weekend because he's now Mr. In Demand, because he was a Bond stuntman and he's also in various other TV shows and films coming up.
A Bond stuntman, he keeps that quiet, doesn't he?
Yeah. So he hasn't been able to talk about it in full depth yet.
He never mentions it.
Because the movie keeps getting put back. But fingers crossed, he will be able to talk about it a little bit more at the main Go Diving show, because that will be after the movie's been launched. So then he'll be able to tell us. So anyway, he's been double booked. So he's off up to Scotland to go playing around on a load of electric motorbikes and various bits and pieces. So we're just trying to organise to have him there at least on the Friday for a bit. Because then at least he can still, if he's there, we can still grab him for a talk. And people can still see him and everything before we let him jet off up to Scotland, because they're obviously far more important than us diver folk.
Shocking.
Well, he's one of the favourites, isn't he? And he's done loads of deep stuff, and it's good that you're using the regulars, because the people who go to the Go Diving show familiarise themselves with them, and that'd be good to hear what they've been up to, over the last bit of time,
Well, exactly, that's it, because a lot of these people, obviously, the same boat as us, where you just couldn't go diving, or you couldn't do the planned diving you were going to do, so you have to get creative to find what else you can do. So it's like that. So hopefully we're going to have another speaker on a Saturday night, but I'll have to unveil that later to fill the slot that I've now got then, so that'll be a surprise. Keep an eye on our website this coming week, because I'll be announcing it. And then we've also got Paul Duxie Duxfield, and then Anne and Phil Medcalf. They're our photo gurus who will be doing the photo workshop. So again, they're very familiar with people from the magazine and from doing trips with any of the specialist travel companies and stuff. It's usually one or the other of them that do that. So they're going to be doing a good talk as well. And then we've got Claire Dutton's coming down from Dutton's Divers in North Wales. So she's going to be kind of doing two talks. One talk's going to be about going pro, because she's one of the youngest course directors in the UK, and she'll be talking about how you can become, a professional diver and potentially make it into a career. And then she'll also be talking about, with her other hat on, she'll be talking about the aforementioned scuba escape, which they do up at Vivian Quarry, which I say I've gone and done one when she first did it, and it is good fun. But again, we'll let her go into that in more detail. So there's lots going on. Yeah, and exhibitors, O3 Fourth Element are there, the usual, everybody will know that. So O3, Fourth Element, Namu Tech are there, Paddy, Raid, we've got the British Virgin Islands Tourist Board, Tobago Tourist Board, Roots Red Sea. So there's a real selection. You've got manufacturers, you've got training agencies, but we've also got some, tropical destinations. So that can kind of tempt you a little bit, maybe for when we can start traveling again. That'll snag you and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to the British Virgin Islands, or Tobago drift diving, looks good, sign me up. Yeah, no, that sounds great. So there's plenty of things for people to see and fill their day with. Yeah, for sure. And that was why we came up with the ticket option. So the Friday, we've got sole use of NDAC. So people buy a ticket and then they've got the full use of what's going on that day, and that includes the barbecue on the evening and the social talks and everything. But then we did the weekend ticket, because we hoped that people would come and do the Friday and the Saturday, because we figured if people were going diving, they might miss some of the workshops and stuff. So they could maybe go for a dive on the Friday morning, catch the photo workshops on the Friday afternoon, have the social evening, but then the Saturday morning, they could maybe catch the photo workshop they missed on the Friday morning and then go for another dive. So it just gave people a bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
And it's great that people can combine, coming to NDAC for a dive as well as, seeing all these other things that you've got going on.
Well, that's right. And what we've tried to do is we tried to keep the pricing really realistic as well, because we want as many people to come as possible. So, it's £24 to go diving in NDAC anyway. So we basically worked out the price of 2 days diving, like the price of entry, like we do into a show, the price of like the for the barbecue on the evening. So by the time we'd kind of factored them in, we came up with a price, and then we looked at all the other stuff we're adding. So we've also included a ticket to the main show in March. We've done a limited edition t-shirt, so Go Diving Dive Team t-shirt, obviously the use of the paddle boards and the kayaks that we said about, and a few other bits and pieces. So it added up to it's worth about £130 if you're paying them all separately. But we've done it for £69, so we've done it at a good price. And then the same with the single day ticket is it's not unaffordable for everything that you get. So that's why we're just hoping as many people will come and just, like I said, just enjoy the social crack and get wet with everybody.
Yeah, so it's £69 for the weekend ticket. And how much is the Friday ticket?
For £14.9. You put me on the spot there with the stuff. Let me check my ticket prices. Luckily, I just happen to have them on site here. So £69 is a 2 day ticket. £45 is the Friday 1 day ticket. And I say that's got a value of £110. So that's really good value for money if people can only come for the 1 day. The Saturday, NDAC is open as normal, but if they want to come in and do the talks and the workshops, then we've just added a little bit on. So the normal price will be like £32. So it's only £27.50 for that one. So again, nothing's too expensive. And then for the non-divers, if they just wanted to come and have access to the talks and the workshops and come to the barbecue, a 2 day ticket was just £25. So, try to keep them good value for money. And it's just, like I said, it's just when people see what they get for the money, it's like, oh, actually, that's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah. Well, even if they're just coming to paddleboard and kayak while, their mates are in the water, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, plenty to keep everybody occupied was what we thought.
Yeah. So where do people go to buy a ticket? And I presume the tickets are still available to buy?
Yes. So, and what's important is this is a ticket-only event. So we will not have any tickets available on the gate. So if people want to come, they need to buy tickets online. You'll be able to buy tickets online right up until the actual event is on. So even if people suddenly decide, oh, you know what, that looks really good, I'm going to come to that, they can still book the tickets that morning, on Friday morning, for instance, and then rock up. But we would advise them to book earlier than that if they want to do any of the workshops, because they're already filling up fast and there's obviously limited availability on the in-water ones. So I know we've got room on the CCR one still. We've still got room on the side mount, but the skill development sessions with Mark Powell, they've already filled. So, get in early if you want to be making the most of it. And you just go to the godivingshow.com is the thing. And then once they go onto that page, you'll see at the top, it says Go Diving Roadshow. Click through onto that, and then you've got straight access to the ticket page. You can choose whichever ticket you want, and then away you go. Brilliant. And there's also all the information on there that we've spoken about, so people can digest that at their leisure.
Yeah, we'll put the links all on the show notes as well. So you mentioned CCRs, Rebreathers. Is there anyone there where somebody can come along and have a go? And if they're thinking about buying one?
Yeah, so Namu Tech, we had a news story about them recently. They've taken on VMR, which used to be based at out of Obster. So they've now taken them on. So you've got tri-dives on the Red Bear, which is a full-on technical expedition rebreather. It's a very advanced unit. And so there's going to be the chance for people to actually get into NDAC and have a bubble-free dive on one of them. And believe me, it's very cool going in NDAC bubble-free. As I did a few weeks ago, I went up there and had a go on a Prism 2, fully closed circuit rebreather. And it's just a great location for a first dive on a rebreather because, the depth is nice and staggered, like we've already spoken about. You've got things to look at, but you can just gauge yourself while you're getting used to the buoyancy and all the different characteristics of a rebreather. it's perfect for that.
Yeah, and the visibility is really good there because that's blue slate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar. It always reminds me a little bit of Cape and Ray visibility when I go in there. That it's, I mean, obviously the bottom, don't get me wrong, if somebody's ploughing around on the bottom like a bulldozer, you can kick the silt up, but actual general in water visibility is usually very, very good. And it's got that lovely blue tinge to it, which is why some of the photographs you see, you could almost imagine, it's kind of the Med or something like that, really, until you see somebody fully wrapped up in a dry suit.
Yeah, I remember my first dive there and dropping down, and it was a beautiful summer's hot day, dropping down for the very first time, looking down below me was that aircraft fuselage that you can swim through, and that was just amazing. The visibility was just awesome. That's just brilliant. Beautiful.
Yeah, the thing is as well that they're always adding new things. Yeah. So when I went, a couple of new things had been sunk, and then they had a couple of big gun turrets off a frigate. They were ready to go in. There was a big construction in the car park that they're just currently building, which is a lot of containers all welded together with different aspects inside. Yeah. So they're going to sink that. And again, that for going through, it's got military applications for when the military divers are there to use it for training, but then also the recreational divers get the added benefit of being able to have a play on it too. So they're always sinking new stuff. So if you haven't dived it for 6 months or a year or 2 years, you'll go in and you'll be like, oh, that's new. Oh, that's new. So it's not like they're resting on the laurels.
Yeah, and it's putting them on the map as well for people, that are only just joining the circuit as well. So they're thinking, oh, I want to go to NDAC and dive.
Yeah, that's right. And, that's why whenever they're sinking anything new, it's always nice to try and highlight that so people think, oh, that'd be interesting to see. And like I said, it doesn't matter what level of dive you are. And the other good thing is the way that NDAC's water is set up with the big floating pontoon, you haven't got everyone clamoring to try and get in one narrow entranceway. Or, there's not only one entry and exit point. You've got multiple ways you can go in off the slope. You can go on the pontoon. There's lots of places to jump in. There's ladders to climb out. So, everyone can kind of space out. So it doesn't matter how busy it is, you've got room.
Yeah.
There is a fun way of getting to the dive site, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, going down in the lovely wagons. Yes. Well, this is the thing, I remember when I first went to NDAC, years and years and years ago when they very first opened, we get there and you look over the edge of the cliff and the quarry water is quite a long way down. I remember thinking, that's a really big giant stride. I don't think you don't want to do that. It's like 80-foot drop. And then you've got the road going down the left-hand side all the way down to what is effectively the shallow end, because the end that's nearest the wall is the deeper bit and the shallow end is at the far side.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind walking in my kit for shore diving. I'll trudge a fair distance, but believe me, nobody would want to walk all the way down to where you get into the water there. Yeah. That's a long old walk, especially if it's warm. But the guys there, it's great. So they've got their fleet of minibuses and they just basically load up with divers in the dive kit, and then they just whiz you down the road to the bottom, drop you off right at the bottom. It's a scuba Uber taxi service. It's fantastic. Drop you right off at the bottom, unload your kit, and you literally can get geared up on some big benches that are there, and then like I said, you can either go straight into the water on a slope, or you can walk onto the pontoon to wherever you want to jump in. And then when you come back out, same thing, you just go to those benches, de-kit, and then sit there and wait for your pickup to take you back up to the car park again. It's a very slick operation now. Once they get in the groove with the flow of the cars going, you're not waiting very long before you're taken back and forth.
Sounds good. I've yet to experience it yet. So
it's definitely heavy, because I don't know of any other inland site that you actually have to do that. So they had to overcome something that hadn't been done before. But I say they've done a really good job. And I said a little fleet of vans, it just adds another dimension to your day's diving, really.
It's a bit like skiing, isn't it? Jumping on a ski bus to go up the slope. And
yeah, exactly. It's just like that. It's just instead of going up a hill, you're going down a slope into a hole.
Even with heavy twin sets, it makes that job of carting them about to the actual bit where you jump in a lot easier. Some people had little trolleys, some people had them, but if you haven't got that, it's fine. It works a treat. So really good. And also very quickly, I'll say that the zip wire, brilliant. So if you're there, give the zip wire a go, because that's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah,
well
exactly. You see people screaming overhead while you're down on the pontoon. So
it's the UK's longest zip wire, apparently. So it is worth a go. That is. So no, it's been brilliant. And like you say, thank you very much for coming on to tell us about this. And I hope many listeners and many people who read the Scuba Dive magazine and anyone else will have a fantastic weekend next weekend. It's gonna, it's gonna be brilliant.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, thank you very much, guys, for getting me on. With such a last minute thing, really, and helping to get the word out. Much appreciated. And like I said, it's just nice to get divers together. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a huge success, and there'll be lots to talk about afterwards as well.
Yeah. It's a social sport.
Absolutely,
it is. That's the whole thing. I've always said, when you go on a dive trip, even if you're on a liveaboard, you're only diving for 4 or 5 hours in a day. And then you may be sleeping for 7 hours. Well, the rest of the time, what you're doing? Having a beer and talking about diving. So that's what it's all about.
It is.
Yeah.
So get your tickets.
Yep. So check out the show notes, and the details will be there.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Mark. It's good seeing you again.
Yes. Maybe we'll meet at a dive site one of these coming days and actually go diving together.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that's really great. So thank you for talking about the Go Diving Roadshow.
Brilliant. Alrighty, we're back. So thank you very much for Mark to coming on and telling us all about the Go Diving Roadshow. Get your tickets, buy them if you're not booked up yet. Go to the website, go to the godivingshow.com and get those tickets. Get in there before they all go.
It sounds exciting.
Certainly do. So we're hoping to go, aren't we? We're hoping to be up there. So all being well, get the ducks in place, as they say.
Line them up.
Line them up. So hopefully, all being well, fingers crossed, we'll be there on Saturday. But no, seriously, it's really good. The dive centre is brilliant. So let's hope that, fingers crossed, for the UK weather will be on side as well. That's good. So that's that. Don't forget, show notes will be all on there following this podcast. Coming up in episode 90, Jen.
No, 90.
No, 90. We have got
Rosemary Lunn. She's coming to talk to us and answer some of our listener questions.
Yeah, and that'd be good to get her back on. We haven't spoken to her for a little while.
No. So it'd be nice to have her back. And there's some good questions that she answers, really well. So
there is. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share, tell your buddy. And we always want to say thank you very much to our lovely patrons.
Yeah.
And also want to say a free way you can also help make these things happen. It's just wherever you download this podcast, leave us a review. It just helps spread the word. It helps other people find us, and it's a free way of supporting the old podcast.
Exactly. And obviously, if you want to talk to us, we've got our email address, BiG Scuba Podcast @gmail.com, and then you've got our social media, so you can DM us. So if you want to suggest any future guests, or if you've got any more questions for Rosemary to answer in future episodes, then drop them our way and we can pop them on the list ready for the next episode with Rosemary.
And of course we've always got the lovely back phone if people want to leave us a voicemail, which is +44 7810 005924. There we go. So there we are. Right, that's it. It's a bit of a short one. We wanted to just quickly get this in and out, and as a little surprise and build up for next weekend. So thanks for listening. It's been good having you on board, and that's it until episode 90 with Rosemary.
We'll see you on the next one.
See you soon. Thank you very much.